Well, hello everybody. How you doing? Dave Fennoy here, and it is another Ask Dave Fennoy Anything. And before I get to my guest for today, let's talk about some things that are coming up, or some guests that are coming up. Whoa, hey there! First one in. Next week, I'm going to have Tasia Valencia Stern. You may not know her name, but you have heard her work. And she is a multi-threat, and you're going to love having a chance to ask her some questions. The following week, on the 19th, J.B. Blanc, who, when I first met him, was a movie and television actor who did some voiceover work, and now he's doing tons of video games, and even more than being a voice in them, he is directing video games. So he'll have a lot of information for those of you who are interested in doing video games. And on the 26th of this month, Joan and Rudy. Joan Baker, Rudy Gaskins, great friends of mine for years and years and years. They're the people who put on one of the finest voiceover conferences, that's voiceover, and along with it, the Voice Arts Awards. And I've got a couple Voice Arts Awards back there on my trophy shelf, I'm proud to say. But today, I have the honor of having a very special guest. He's a very good friend of mine. He is one of the nicest guys in the business. You have heard him. If you live in America and you've turned on a television anywhere, you have to have heard this man. Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce to you my friend Joe Cipriano.
Wow. I can't right now. I have to do this thing with, Dave Fennoy. Yes, thank you. I am one of the nicest guys you know. How are you, Dave?
I'm doing great. About yourself?
I'm good. And cool. This does look good. Look at that.
Oh yeah, there we go.
We're live,
there we go.
baby. We're live.
Yeah. Joe, when we were chatting back and forth or messaging back and forth, hey, what's your Skype number? Because I don't know why I never had your Skype thing, because I'll pick up the phone or text. But he said, hey, yeah, we put it on my Facebook too, and then we get twice the audience. I've got some people. And I'm pulling my hair out and doing some research on how do I do this, and I don't know if I can. And of course, I talked to some kid.
It's always those darn kids.
Dang it. And I'm saying, I'm trying to figure out how I can, stream this in two different platforms, but both Facebook but different people's pages. And he goes, oh well, you really can't do that, but just have the guy. Pull it up on his phone or iPad or something and press share.
Share, exactly. And there you go.
And
now we're multicasting. We're simulcasting everywhere.
There you go.
How you doing, Dave? You're looking good.
Well, thank you. I feel pretty good. You're looking fantastic. I just want to go over some of your credits.
Oh, my goodness. Really? I hope you made a few up.
Don't give me any ideas. Voice of Fox for a couple of 2 or 3 decades.
That was a life changer.
CBS, Food Network, Hallmark Movie Channel.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, me.
Good one.
Yeah. You've done the Primetime Emmys.
Yes.
The Grammy Awards. And you actually found time to write a book, Living on Air.
Yes.
So, you have one of the best careers. And I remember when I came to town, you were already a Fox voice. And you were one of the guys, because when you come into town and you're new and you're trying to do promo and voiceover, who's who and what's what and where's going on.
Exactly. And that's smart, by the way. I always tell people, you got to know, what's going on.
Yeah.
You really do. Yeah. You can't do this in a void.
No, you can't.
Know, who's working, why they're working, what are the sounds of the different networks, things like that. So that was smart, Dave.
Yeah, and this was the tail end of Ernie Anderson. Don LaFontaine was already a fixture, as were you. And happy to say that over the years, you and Don became great friends of mine, and I was at SBV at the time.
Yeah.
And Ernie Anderson was there.
Yes.
and and I got to talk with him from time to time, and Bob Ridgely and all those guys. But
Oh my God, Ridgely. Yeah. He's hilarious. He was hilarious.
but
Yeah.
let me hear your story, because I think it's interesting, or let people hear your story of how did you become the voice of Fox and become a fixture in the world of voiceover?
Well, a lot of it is a lot of it is luck, and a lot of it is determination and persistence and never giving up. Because you know it, Dave, and I know people that are here with us tonight. You hear a lot more no's than you hear yeses, and if you let that get to you, it's going to be very difficult to find the success that you hope to find. So it's persistence. You have to be the last person standing. And it's the old saying, like with a boxer, it's not how many punches you can take, it's when you get knocked down and how many times you can get back up again.
I saw
So
that movie.
it's that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, it's true. And for me, I was in radio. That's my background, and I started when I was 14 years old and progressed. Started in Connecticut, went to Washington D.C., where I worked for NBC. Met my wife there, my soon-to-be wife. We dated for 2.5, 3 years, and got married in D.C. in '79. Moved here at the end of 1980. Worked in radio, and I mean, I just hit the ground running. I had been doing voiceovers in Washington D.C., but it was like local and regional type stuff, and the only national stuff you could do would be public service announcements with the government. That was your national kind of thing.
DC, there's some government stuff going on there in
Yeah,
Washington.
there's a lot of
Okay.
government stuff going on there. Oh, and but we'll avoid that tonight because we want to be happy.
Yeah.
So I made a decision. Ann and I both together. We knew she was in broadcasting. She's a news writer for TV, and were we going to go to New York or were we going to go to Los Angeles? And we actually took a trip. We did about a 2-week trip, a week in New York City, a week in Los Angeles, and we fell in love with LA, and I knew what I wanted to do. That's where promos are done. Back in the old days, they would do things in New York, but really all of the entertainment promos, even back then, in the early 80s, were done in Los Angeles. And you're right, Ernie Anderson, Danny Dark, who was a very good
Danny
friend
Dark.
of mine, and, a mentor, and Mark Elliott, who
Mark
is,
Elliott, I worked with him at the Disney Channel.
there you go, exactly.
And another just wonderful guy.
Great guy. I mean, Mark is the best. We were in Lake Bell's movie In a World together. We had little cameo parts in that, and we got to hang, which was fun. But in any case, when I got to LA, I knew that I needed a day job. I wasn't going to come out and be a starving actor. So radio was my day job. And my first job, I worked 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. It left me all day to go out on auditions, try to find agents. I found an agent pretty quick. I think it was Commercials Unlimited. I don't even know if you know.
You know what? I was never with them, but I heard about them a lot.
Yeah, it was one of the early agencies, not one of the big ones. My big break was I got with William Morris at the time. Nina Nissenholtz was the voiceover agent there, and our friend Elaine Craig, who was a casting agent, was the assistant. She at William Morris, and that's when I started to get some traction. But I always kept radio as my day job so that we could have a life. And Ann was working at KABC TV, Channel 7 in LA, and we had a great life. And it allowed me to pursue it, most importantly, with a great attitude.
Yeah.
I wasn't pursuing voiceover with that drastic need to make
You weren't
the rent.
desperate.
I was not desperate.
I tell people all the time, if you're desperate in your audition, they're gonna hear it. They're gonna feel it. They might not know what it is, but something's not right, and you're not gonna be the person they pick.
Absolutely. I mean, they can even smell it on you. I mean, desperation just is all over you. And you know what? I had great success early 80s. Like 82 was my first big job, and I did the trailers and TV spots for Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And that really kind of kicked it in for me. And I did a lot of movie trailers before I got into network promos. And I did Bachelor Party and Porky's 2. And I still have people sending me, hey, I just had somebody 3 weeks ago send me a trailer and say, hey, is this you? And it was like from '83. And I saw the title and I go, no. And I played it and I go, oh my
yeah.
God.
I
that
forgot
is me.
about that.
I didn't even know this movie. You know, it was crazy. And the big break was Fox.
Yeah.
They heard me on the air.
I was going to say
that's amazing.
it was a Cinderella story. Somebody wanting a new promo voice for Fox was driving down the road, and they had on your radio station,
Kiss FM,
and they were listening to you on a regular basis. And when this job came up, they went, "That guy."
Yeah. I wonder what this guy would sound like, and they brought me in.
Yeah.
And I became the comedy voice of the network starting in '88. And Don LaFontaine came in right after me as well. And I was there for 22 years or more. And for most of that time, Don did dramas and I did comedies.
Yeah.
And we would just switch studios. You know, we would go back and forth and back and forth.
The 1-2 punch.
Yeah. It was amazing. And again, everything in this business is about relationships. And when one of the creative executives, was hired away by CBS to come in and run their on-air promos, he actually brought me over. And for a good overlap of 15 years, I was doing both Fox and CBS at the same time, which
actually is kind of rare. Very often they don't want to use the same voices on different networks. No, this is us. We don't want them to be confused about who they're listening to. So I think that's just a testament to what you do and how well you do it. So let me ask you something. What's the secret of your success in your work? Listen up, everybody.
Well, besides what we talked about and persistence and never giving up, it's a positive attitude. And it kind of sounds a little silly, to say that. But again, with this business, because you're just getting battered so often, when you're working in this realm, I'm sure it's true across the board, but when you're in LA and you're going for those big gigs and you're auditioning for them or you're called in, it's not that they don't mean to be heartless, but they got to move on, and we got Dave Fennoy coming in next, and we want to see the rest of the folks that are coming in, and it can be really tough. So it's a positive attitude. It's working harder than anybody else. Just know that anybody that is trying to do what we're doing is probably working a little bit more at it than you, and that should be an inspiration to get yourself into gear and work at it even harder. And again, and then it's education and doing seminars and workshops and work with a coach. I've worked with a number of different coaches over the years, and I still do. I think it's good to get a tune-up.
I tell people that sometimes, and they, what, you still will take? I said, well, I'm pretty busy now. I don't have the time to do it all the time, but when I do have some time, I'm happy to go work with somebody else's ears, somebody that knows what they're doing and knows what to listen for, to help me become an even more honest voice, to help me get out of bad habits. I think one of the things that can happen to us, we get one of those jobs where we're doing that same thing, that particular read over and over and over and over. And after a while, we've developed this muscle for that. And now everything that comes along, we want to apply that read to it. And it's not going to work for everything.
No, boy, that's a good point. That is so true. And you do get, when you fall into a situation like working at a network and working multiple sessions a day, every day, 6 days a week, you get a little complacent if you're not careful.
Yeah.
And I learned, I lost CBS by just a weird occurrence. And Les Moonves said, "Who's that voice?" And my friend Ron Scalera, who brought me over there, I'd been there for 10 years, said, "I never want to hear that voice again on this network."
Wow.
And I was gone, and that was more than half of my income. I luckily, a few months after that, picked up NBC, and I was the drama voice of NBC for 2 years. And when that ended, I called Ron and I said, I'd love to get back into CBS. And he goes, "Well, it's been 2 years. Les is his memory's not that great. Let's start bringing you in." And I had another 7 years or more, that I worked at CBS.
Oh, fantastic! I've got a little picture here I want to show you.
Ooh.
And let's see. Oh, there it is. Now that's you and I, and that guy in the middle.
Let's see. I'm not seeing it. Hold on one second.
You're not going to see it on Skype there, but
okay.
This is
All right.
This is at a restaurant in Paris.
There it is. I see it on.
We were in France.
I love this. Go ahead.
And well, just for everybody else, we were in France. We were doing some teaching, and
it was you and Mo and me and Ann.
That's right.
And we got into town early.
Yeah.
And we stayed at this hotel that J. Michael Collins
fantastic hotel.
Set us up. Yeah. And we were going to go to this is a restaurant called Chez Andre.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if he told us about it. You knew about it. I don't know how.
I don't remember how we found it. It was within walking distance of the hotel, which was within walking distance of the Eiffel Tower.
Yes. And you know what? We had just gotten in that day, too, so we were a little lagged, I think.
Yeah.
And we were really happy to go for a walk. We're walking up to this restaurant, and Dave and I are in the front. Mo and Ann are chatting. They're behind us. We're chatting, and, we had just seen each other. We had both, all four of us, just gotten there, and we had so much to talk about. So we're walking up there, and this guy, who is either the owner or the manager. I think he might be the owner.
Might be.
I've never seen a reaction. He looked up, and as we were walking, to the right up to the restaurant, this guy almost fell over. His eyes bugged out, and he was like, oh my gosh. And he came up to us, and he just, "Please come with me, and I have the best table for you in the house." And we come in, we're going, "What the heck is going on?" Come to find out, he was convinced
I was Bob Marley.
You were Bob
Marley. Bob Marley. Please, fantastic, come, formidable, come. and I'm like, I'm not Bob Marley. He's dead.
Even after he found out, that wasn't true, he had to have a picture with us.
Oh yeah.
And you could see on my face, I'm just like, this guy, this is the best.
And you can see in my eyes, I'm a little. What's going on here?
What the heck is going on? But you know what, boy, did they treat us well. We had a meal.
Oh boy.
We had everything.
Yeah, well, it pays to be Bob Marley sometimes.
It does. And alive and well. Yeah.
Well, let me get rid of that. I've got another one here.
Oh, okay.
And
let's see.
This picture. Now, as I recall, this is the 13 the primetime voices.
Oh, is that what you've got up?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay.
And the late, great Don LaFontaine sitting there near you. I'm on the other side, kind of hair long.
You know what? I'll tell you the story of that, and pretty quickly. It was I think a Saturday. I had worked at Fox in the morning. We had something else. I think actually I might have done something in radio or whatever. And we were meeting, Ann and I were meeting some friends for dinner, Chuck and Ava Freeze in Beverly Hills. And I got there early, and I was walking on Rodeo Drive, of all things, the most famous shopping street in the world. And in one of the storefront windows was a picture from the cover of Vanity Fair, and it was called The Men of Hollywood. And it was like Jack Nicholson and Brad Pitt Tom Hanks. They had every major star, in kind of like what you're seeing in that picture, kind of like that. And I just stopped and I looked at it and I go, wow, how cool is that? And I thought, wouldn't it be neat? Neat. Wow.
Yeah,
So
you're showing your age.
Yes.
Wow, it'd be groovy.
Wouldn't it be groovy?
Neato.
If I could get together all of the voices of the broadcast networks and do a shot like this. And so we went to dinner. I mentioned it at dinner. Everybody thought it was a great idea. But I knew that I wouldn't be able to get Dave Fennoy. I wouldn't be able to get George DeLoio or Ashton Smith if I didn't call Don LaFontaine first. He was the call. If I didn't get Don, it wasn't even really worth doing it. If Don's not going to do it, he was the king.
Yeah.
So I called him Sunday morning, and I told him about it. He goes, I love it. I'm in. I'll be there. I'm there. So then that weekend,
world where I can be in a picture.
and I knew he would be in the position. He's sitting in the Jack Nicholson position of the original shot. And, all those guys in there, everybody said yes. I found a wonderful photographer who actually worked for Vanity Fair, Brenda Farrell, and she said, I can do it. I can even find the place that we'll do it. I'll do all the creative for it. And she really set it up beautifully. And we did that photo shoot on I think it was a Saturday.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
It was a place called the Poodle Parlor in downtown LA, which is used for shoots.
Yeah.
And that room was so cool. It was all cement and blocks on the side of the wall. And, it was so cool. And my son did a video of behind the scenes of it.
One day
it's on YouTube.
I'll have to look at that. And one of the things I thought was interesting was, one, that you thought to do this and you put it together, and it was such a gift to all of us. And that's just the kind of person you are.
Oh, thanks, Dave. And also, things have changed. I mean, for me, it was a snapshot. It was just a time where these voices were on network. You'll notice Scott Rummel's not in there.
Yeah.
Scott hadn't really made it into network. He was doing trailers and commercials, and then he became a real force.
Well, if that picture were done today, I wouldn't be in the picture.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. I
still,
wouldn't either.
I still do TV promos, but I'm not a network voice just at the moment. So,
right.
And I keep going, well.
And it's also a time where these voices were kind of like primary and secondary voices. There were only 2 or 3, in some networks maybe 4 and 5 voices that they were using. But it's kind of like today at NBC. There are 3 voices pretty much at NBC.
Yeah.
And Reno has been there,
for a long
quite
time.
Some time, doing it. And it's one of the rare networks, broadcast networks, where they just have a handful of voices. Now it's almost like a different voice for every show.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no such thing as imaging a network anymore. It's more imaging the show.
Imaging
itself
the show. Yeah.
That goes off, streaming online wherever it ends.
The one place I hear it is ABC.
Oh, okay.
I especially their drama voice. You just know that guy. Let's see. Let me pull something up here. Bob Bergen.
Bob Bergen.
He just wanted to pop in and say, what's he say? He says, Joe, Dave, I have a TV Academy meeting in 8 minutes, but wanted to send a huge hug.
Nice.
And we love Bob Bergen, and
He's the best.
Thank him for all the work he does with the union. And let me back up here and see if I've missed any questions. Well, you know what? I think people are kind of in awe of you.
Yes, please. We should tell them. Make sure drop some questions in there. We definitely want to answer some.
Oh, Bob sent out. Love you guys. We love you, Bob.
Bob, right back at you, buddy.
And Bob, when this thing is over, we got to get drunk again. We were at VO Atlanta one year, and I don't remember how that night ended, but but we certainly had a good time.
Bob has the best stories, and how he met Mel Blanc, which is the best.
And you know what? I know you want to tell his story, but I'm going to get him on and let him.
No, I'm not going to tell that story because he tells it. As all of us, we tell our stories the best. But he was the keynote one year at VO Atlanta, and I just thought he killed it.
Oh
It
yeah.
was,
Oh yeah.
it
Oh
was so
yes.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
I loved it. Yeah,
I think that was it.
yeah,
That was when we got that drunk.
yeah.
Let's see. From Rhonda D. Hall, she says, "Hi, Dave. I recognize your voice on a trailer with SAG-AFTRA membership when I was looking over some of the benefits and rates. The trailer was called Where the Water Tastes Like Wine." Yeah, yeah. You played the character Shaw.
Oh,
It was pretty cool stuff. I saw a trailer in there. I knew they were going to be talking to you.
that's
you,
cool.
you know, tell me about your studio. What equipment do you have? I know you've downsized from the giant mansion to a smaller mansion, uh, and what's your studio like now?
What I have now, it's right here next to me. I have a Studio Bricks, and yeah, it's so funny how things, my regular studio equipment is pretty much the same as my remote equipment. I use the Apollo
Oh
Solo.
wait.
Yeah.
Bob clearly is not paying attention to his meeting. Bob Bergen, I'm already drunk. Yeah, that's his note. Thank you, Bob.
That's good. Bob, at least you're making an effort.
Yeah,
That's good.
there you
I
go.
like that.
There you go.
I like that.
I'm sorry for interrupting.
No.
Do go
So,
on.
like so many of us, we use that Apollo Twin Solo
Yeah.
as the interface. My 416 microphone. I also have a U87, but I hardly ever use that.
Now,
I
why is it that you don't use the U87 as much?
For most of the work that I'm doing, I don't need that really warm, round sound. I need more of the 416 cutting through, but also at the same time, when I'm working we have an apartment in Miami, and so I have a second studio there. And when you're on the road, you need a mic that's going to cut out. Like, for example, I'm in this room here, and you can hear the room noise in it.
Yeah.
It would be helpful if you had that tight pattern of a 416 to help deaden it.
Yeah.
So that's part of it as well. But I did use the U87, the Neumann, when I did the audiobook version of Living on Air. I started recording, I did the first chapter on the 416, and it was just too...
Crisp.
It was just, yeah, exactly. And I wanted that storytelling kind of sound. And Maurice Tobias was the director. She agreed to direct the entire audiobook. AJ McKay did all of the sound design on it, and Greg Chun did original music on it. And so that's when I pulled out the U87, and it was a great use of that. I love hearing that beautiful sound, and bought me that microphone when I turned 30.
Mm-hmm. Oh, just a
And
few years ago.
yes, and she said build a studio around it, and that was 1984, and I built a studio around it, and it was my first real home studio, professional
Yeah.
home studio.
Now, having been to a couple of your houses before this house, you actually had built the studio. It was not,
Right.
but you have studio bricks now. I'm sure you looked at Whisper Room, so forth and so on. What brought you to studio bricks?
First of all, I like the looks of it. I like the way it looks. I've been in quite a few at conferences that you and I have been at.
Yeah.
I've done sessions in them. I liked it, but it was Chuck Duran who also bought the same size studio bricks that I have, and he loved it and loves it, and brought me over to his place, his new location where he works and where he does demos that rock. And I went in it, we recorded, and it was great. And the other thing is, I'm really fortunate in that I know those guys, the Studio Bricks
Yeah.
guys. And so I was able to talk to them one-on-one, and they were really helpful. And when this showed up, Guillermo, who invented Studio Bricks from Barcelona, happened to be in town for NAMM. It was January, and he was down in Anaheim.
Yeah.
And he said, "Hey, I know you received it today. I want to come up and I want to help you build it."
Oh, wow.
And it was like, oh my God, to have the guy who designed it. George Whittam was here, and George, had started off doing it, But once Guillermo got here, we built this in under an hour. He
Yeah.
was like, "Give me B1, B7, D5." It's just like blank, blank. It was like
Yeah.
doing Legos,
Yeah.
and it was up and running.
Well, I have a whisper room that I love. It works just great. But if I were going to do it again, I think I'd go with Studio Bricks just because of the ease of this little piece, as opposed to God, I've got this giant piece of.
And in Miami, in our apartment in Miami, I haven't kind of pulled the trigger on anything yet. So what I have there is I built it myself, a PVC piping. I did this like about 2 years ago, and I just made a cage, and then I bought those blankets that are very, very good. I can't remember the name of the company, or I'd give them a shout out.
Now, are they sound blankets, or are they just?
They're real sound blankets.
Okay, yeah.
And I bought regular heavy-duty drapery hooks because they had the eyelets in them.
Yeah.
And I was able to put that all the way around. It sounds amazing. Now, it's not soundproof,
Well, few of them are, and I think a lot of people operate in the misconception that they're going to be soundproof.
Right.
What they do is destroy the sound bounce and cut the outside noise by maybe 50%.
Right, absolutely. And I can go back and forth. I can listen to things that I've done in that booth, if you want to call it a booth, and then do them here and compare them, and they're so close.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Now, just I know the Studio Bricks quite expensive for most people. How much did it cost you to do Miami?
Oh gosh, Miami. Wow. I mean, literally, I went to the hardware store on Alton Street in Miami Beach and picked up a bunch of PVC piping, which might have cost me $50. I don't even know, with the corner pieces and all of that.
Yeah.
And then just boom, 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 boom. I think the drapery, those sound drapes, might have been the most expensive thing. They could have been $250.
Yeah. So $300, $400 max. You've got a booth.
Yeah.
That's why I asked the question. I know there are a lot of people
Yes.
that don't have the money right now to get a whisper room, a Studio Bricks, but they could probably spring for those blankets. You know what? When you get a chance, send me, because I know people are going to ask me, well, what were those blankets? When you get a chance, not right now.
Right there at what it is. I will definitely look it up.
Because it'll come up again. And I have a question here from Isabella Tugman. How do you know if you're right for promos? Is there a type?
Well, when I teach promo, I like to do the wild reads, which would mean you're just reading copy and being directed. There are at least three ways that you do promos. One is you read wild. The spot hasn't been cut yet. You read it at three different speeds, slow, medium, fast for each line. And you probably have somebody on the line directing you. And so you're doing a lot of reads, not knowing what the music is going to be, but hopefully they can give you an idea of what it's going to be. And you read it that way. The other way is the spot is cut, but they don't have the ability to have you read to the spot, which is how we do it in network.
Yeah.
So they know what the timings are of the holes in between the SOTs. SOTs are sound on tape. So, the promo voice says, tonight on CBS, and then a voice comes up. It might be,
one of the characters in the sitcom.
One of the characters in the show. Exactly. And so they know, okay, the first line is 2.8 seconds. So you read it to time. You're actually stopwatching it and doing it that way. It's not as critical now because it's pretty easy to time compress.
Yeah.
But still, you want to get it without having to time compress it. Then the third way is where timing is so incredibly important. I think timing might be the number one thing for promo. So to answer her question, I think a good sense of timing and also being able to work in a situation where you don't have a lot of time to get the script out. You don't have a lot of time to spend on interpreting the script. Something that you think will take 5 seconds to do, you have to do it in 2.5 seconds. So you have to interpret the script, and you still have to tell the story, because most promos are still story based.
Yeah.
And there's a story arc, and there's a beginning, middle, and end, and you have to pick up on that and learn that. But you have to be able to tell that story in a very quick pace.
Yeah.
And
and
not the last thing, Dave, is sometimes the timing of it is on the forefront of your brain, and it doesn't allow you to do anything with the words. All you're worried about is, oh my God, I got to fit this in, I got to do this, I got to do that. And you only get to the point where you can move that to the back of your brain and concentrate on the script when you just do it, and just get used to what timing is.
Yeah. I remember back when we actually went into the studios, you kind of develop a clock in your head. Because you'll do a read and they say, oh, yeah, we need to cut 0.3 of a second off of that. And you don't know how you do it, but you do.
Yeah.
It just...
You feel it.
Yeah.
You know what I call it? I call it soul clocking.
Yeah.
You have to have a soul clock.
Soul clocking. You know
by
what?
the way, when you're doing it on Source Connect for networks, broadcast networks, you're still reading the picture, and but you don't see the picture. But you're still reading to the track.
Yeah,
so
reading to the track.
You still have to have that skill.
I actually think what she was asking was, what kind of voice do you need? And I think by what you went into, you kind of answered the question, because I don't think there is, especially anymore, a particular kind of voice that you need.
No. Any voice works. Don LaFontaine used to say that all the time. He says every voice works.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just got to find where your place is. And yeah, I mean, listen, there are dramas, there are comedies, there's reality, there's, you just go on and on and on and on.
When you start looking at how many networks we have now that really are focused on a narrow demographic that's interested in who knows what, people who want to get in the water and chase alligators,
I know that network. I love that.
Yeah. Pat Duke.
Network.
Duke. Yeah. Oh boy. Okay. Trey. Hey Joe, how many spots and tags have you done in one session, if you can recall?
Oh my God. I don't. We don't want to boast. I remember, actually, probably one of the. It's usually when I had started at Fox, and this was like the big that just blew my mind. I mean, I was working in radio, and I was making X amount of dollars a year, in radio, which was not great. And I was brought into Fox, and I started doing their promos. And Fox had the Emmys that year, the first time they had ever had the Emmys. They did hundreds of spots for those Emmys, featuring every star from television. And there was a session, I remember calling Ann, and I said something like, I just did 60 spots and 300 tags, And it was like, when you added it up, it was like, oh my God, this is half of what I make in a year, in radio. It was ridiculous.
Good googly moogly. That's a lot of spots in a setting.
That was crazy.
Man.
But normally, it's gone down. They don't have the time to run promos like they used to, The promo department was able to really hold off the sales department for years and years and years and say, listen, we need this time, so that you can sell these spots. We need to promote the shows and, make the network number one. And they don't quite have that real estate anymore for promos. So it's a bit diminished. You're not doing as much.
Well, the world has changed. When you got in the business and when I was doing a lot of promos just after 1990 into the early 2000s, we didn't have the number of stations. There was no Hulu. There was no Apple TV. There wasn't a Netflix. And there's just so much programming in so many places. And how you hang on to that audience. I mean, on one hand, maybe you need to do more promo, but you can't because it's a different game now.
Yeah, it is, and for us, for voiceover people, there's a lot of opportunity out there because there are so many outlets and there's so many different ways that they're promoting shows, and they still need voiceover for that. So it's actually, if you're into promo and that's where you want to be, you've got a lot of real estate out there,
Oh
a
man,
lot of networks.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, Scott Brick stopped by. Said, "Hey there, I'm popping
Oh,
in briefly. Still in the studio, but it's absolutely wonderful seeing both your faces." And Scotty, of course, one of the kings, royalty in the world of
yes,
audiobooks.
that's for sure. We before the lockdown back in February, we had a nice night where we went to Musso and Frank's in Hollywood, and that was a kick. Reno Romano came. And it was fun. It
Yeah.
was really good. Yeah.
Another question, Evan Richards. If you haven't gotten auditions from your agents in a while, should you check up on your agents even if you're just saying hi?
You know what? I'm have an answer, and I bet you have an answer. For me, what I say is, if you have an agent where you have a good relationship, and there's that word again, because it's so very important, you should always be checking in with your agent. You should never get to the point where you say, "Gosh, I haven't heard from my agent in 2 weeks." You need to have a reason to drop them an email, whatever it is. If you have a good enough relationship to pick up the phone and have a quick call. And I always do that. I try to do that as much as I can. So that's my thing. To nurture that relationship and keep it up. I don't know, Dave. What do you
Well,
think?
I would say you don't want to be that actor that is just a pest and calling all the time. Well, so is anything coming in? How's it going? What's going on? Take the focus off of yourself and what you want. Pick up the phone, call your agent, or send an email or text or whatever, just to say, "Hey, how you doing?" Find out what's going on in their lives. Everybody has something happening, wonderful or not so wonderful. A husband, a wife that might not be feeling well, kids that are going to school. Um, be interested in their life. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying do this with the idea, hey, if I'm interested in their life, they're gonna. But
Yeah,
genuinely,
genuinely.
be
Yes.
interested in the lives of the people who are your partners in this business.
Exactly. And partner is the word. I mean, you're doing this together,
Yeah,
This is a team effort.
yeah,
Yeah. I
abs-
know it's hard. I know some people will say, "Oh my gosh, I could never do that with my agent." Well, guess what? At some point, maybe that agent isn't right for you, and you need to find somebody who respects you, you respect them, and that's all about coming up the ladder,
you want that agent that's kind of a cheerleader for you, that believes in your talent and that you are going to be successful, or is going to hopefully help you with your success. Now,
Hmm.
let me ask you this, because I know how busy I am sometimes, and I know how, and I think you over your career have been even busier with the golden handcuffs on.
Right.
How many auditions do you pass on because you just didn't
Oh.
have the time?
You know what? I have to be honest. Uh, Even when I'm at my most busy time, I will, if the audition is right for me. Now, I'll get auditions that I read the description of it, the specs, and I think, my agent wants me to be on it because there's a reason why they're putting you on it. That would be the one that I would uh, miss the deadline on because of that. But if they're auditions that I think are within that kind of wheelhouse of, I know I need to be on this and to score this for my agent and to score it for myself, I'll make time to do it. But yes, I do miss,
Yeah.
and I hate doing it because I hate missing opportunities. I always think that doing an audition is the last time that you're going to be in control of that script. I'm going to do with it what I want to do with it.
Yeah.
And uh, if I get the gig, it's no longer going to be
In
in
somebody
my
else's hands.
exactly, and it's going to be the director who says,
Ah.
"Here's what we want. We're going to do this. We're going to do that." Until they say, "And you know what? For the last one, why don't you do one
Oh.
the way you see it?"
And the famous Don LaFontaine answer, listen to take one, as he pulls off his headphones and walks out the door.
Only Don could do that.
Oh, man.
And I guess Ernie Anderson could as well.
Oh, and did.
But Don did it with class. Ernie was a classy guy, but Ernie,
well, Gary Scales, Joe, what is your favorite thing or role to voice?
I've been asked this a few times. I get such a joy out of doing real, network promo where you're reading to the spot, whether it's on Source Connect or IPDTL or
Ipdiddle.
Yes, or anything. I just love that weaving in and out of SOTs and doing it. I think it's exciting. And it kind of harkens back to radio, like talking up songs.
Yeah.
I do love that. Secondly, I love doing game shows. I do a ton of game shows. I just found out today, America's Got Talent. This would be my 11th or 12th year doing that, and they want to record on Friday, so I'll record for them when they go. All their live shows, I actually, pre-record it, but don't tell anybody. It's pre-recorded now.
Okay,
and,
it's just between me and you.
Yes, and I love that, and I love doing live announcing too. I mean, there's so much of it that is a joy. Radio imaging, love it. I mean, talk about being creative, and you get a script from radio stations that you're the image voice for, and you can create and do whatever you want with that script, and give multiple, different looks at it, different voices, different attitudes, and they love it. The more you give them, the more outtakes you give them, the better it is.
The better it is. Let's see. We'll get through some questions here. Sandra Patterson Dyson, what's your opinion on agents and managers sending you auditions but not featuring you or adding you to their roster? I'll just answer this.
Yeah.
There's a thing called hip pocketing a talent, and I think often agents have a certain number of people that they can represent. But I'm sure there are people that, hey, I'm going to hang on to this person forever. Most people kind of, okay, they're there. And there are a few people like, I don't know, I might need to replace somebody here. Well, when that limit is reached, they might find somebody that they really like, have a certain amount of belief in, but aren't really ready to sign you, to commit that much. But they're going to send you auditions. Do the auditions, do the best you can, with the idea that if you start booking those things, chances are they'll pull you in, and probably that person that hasn't been booking in a year or two or whatever, they'll be saying bye to. So when there's room on the roster, they'll pull you in.
And agents, they want you to do one thing. They want you to be a success. They would thrill them to no end to find someone who is then suddenly booking. They'll sign you. They'll do everything to keep you going. But they just want you to be stellar. Just be amazing. Go out and do it. And win it.
Yeah. Let's see. Robbie Mays Shelburne, describe a typical day routine pre-COVID for you. How has it changed with isolating at home these days?
Well, for promos, it hasn't changed much because, like Dave said earlier, we used to go to the networks. We'd drive all over Los Angeles and Hollywood, Santa Monica, the Valley. You would go everywhere. And you had to build travel into your schedule, to be able to get from point A to point B. But really, for the past 10 years or more, we've been in our home studios, and we connect, whether it was ISDN and then Source Connect and IPDTL. So really, it hasn't changed in that way. We're still doing what we have always done. What's changed is the other side of it. The people that we're reading for are now at their homes.
Yes. Yeah.
and they're getting a taste of what it's like. I think what it's going to do is I think networks, cable outlets, vendors are going to realize that their people can actually do work from home. You know, they always worried that if they're home, they're going to be knocking off, they're not going to be getting the job done, but it's not true. So I think it's opened up all kinds of new avenues that people can actually work from home, and we're a great example of it. That's all we do. That's what we've been doing for years.
I have noticed that, first of all, the people who had home studios first were promo guys. I've had a home studio for 20 years at least, because you were doing things ISDN into the studios. But over the last number of years, the number of people who have gotten in for audiobooks and various other things that maybe it's time consuming, so we don't want to bring you into a studio where we have to pay studio time. But if you've got your own home studio, that's great. So a lot of people who did not have them before have home studios, and the ways of connecting are better now. Now, the one thing I have noticed, you are going to have to make sure your studio is pristine, the right microphone, the right DAWs, the right connectivity, that Apollo is becoming the thing.
Yeah.
So, and I love the fact that you told us about your studio in Miami, how good it sounds, but how inexpensive it was. I think that's going to help a lot of people.
Yeah, you got to. If you do it right, you don't have to spend a lot of money. You know, if the problem is that you have outside noise, well, you know, maybe you do need a whisper room or something like that. Because if it's going to stop you from working, you know, that's an issue.
Oh wait, the votes are coming in. Christina Kelly, I love my Studio Brooks. And Guillermo, yeah. And let's see. But Larry Davis, no, he loves his whisper room. Jerry McDaniel, I've taken mine apart a couple of times and put it together myself. I bet he's talking about Studio Bricks.
Studio Bricks, yeah.
Yeah, Bob Loza, yeah, sound.
You know, my buddy Jack Daniel just got a studio, and I can't remember the name of it, but it looks awesome. And I think it's I've heard it. It sounds great. And again, it's another modular type thing, but I don't know what the make is of it.
And the jokes keep coming. Scott Brick, so funny. When I first read this, I thought you called your booth by my name, because I call mine Bob Bergen, which is weird because it has my name written all over it. Thank you, Scott.
Oh, my Scott Brick booth. Yes.
Yeah. Mika B-Side says Vocal Booth to Go has good sound blankets. I think that was it.
That's it.
Sound blankets?
That's it. It's sound blankets from VO to Vocal Booth to Go. They're
And
very good.
One of the other things I love about this listening audience, they let us in on stuff when
They come up with the answers. Yeah.
Natalia, I'm in a padded closet under the stairs like Harry Potter. Well, listen, if you take your medication, they'll let you out.
Not so good if somebody's going up and down the stairs.
Yeah.
You have to clear the stairs. Clear the stairs. Yeah.
Oh, boy. Let's see. My friend Alex, I'm living the nightmare of having a setup and a dead mic. Oh, I hate when that happens.
Oh, no.
Hey, speaking of George Whittam.
Oh, Georgie.
Welcome
Hello,
back.
George.
So, George, you just say hello to Joe, but not me.
And not to Dave? Oh,
some people.
That's
Randy Thomas, like DJs know how long they have to run to the bathroom. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes.
Randy.
I recall that from being a DJ. He's going to redeem himself. Back off your mic a tad, Dave. Oh, yeah, thank you. Back off your mic a tad. You clip in the loudest bit, so sorry to be that guy.
How about me? Because
but you are that guy. No, you're
I don't usually use this mic.
Yeah,
so
sometimes I'm leaning in a little bit.
Yeah.
Thank you, George. Couldn't say
that
hi, but
that was what George had to say.
That's what George.
You know, I've done quite a few studios with George. In fact, and I'll have to give him props. The reason why I did the Miami studio with PVC is because Ann and I were in a rental in between this house and the house in Bel Air that we sold. and George built a booth for me out of PVC. His was much more professional than mine. He really knows how to do it. And I won't talk about, George, the calamity that happened. And you know what I'm talking about, George. I save those stories for when you're with me, so I can see you turn red. But it was a great studio, and we used that for about 6 months, which was nice.
There you go. Jack Daniel, I just realized I've been commenting on Joe's feed. We discovered today that if my guest turns on, say, their iPhone, and they can share the feed, so it multiplies the number of people, but the people will be commenting on your feed.
Right. I should look at my feed just to see if there's anything there.
Alex, this is what I miss about you. Miss my VO community.
Yeah.
Okay, Jack. Mostly I want to compliment you guys on the facial hair. Look at those
Thank
gorgeous mugs.
Oh, by the way, Paul Pape on my feed said, "Dave, I'm a big fan, but who's the other guy?" There you go, Pape.
You know we were going to catch some shit.
Exactly. Paul Pape, as you know, and I and George were the co-founders of the Don LaFontaine VoiceOver Lab. But that was Paul's idea, to come up with how are we going to honor Don, and he came up with that. And boy, so many people
have gone in and taught classes, and it costs nothing. All you have to be is a member of SAG-AFTRA and get your application for the particular class in on time, because they always fill up. And it's funny. I look forward to going. It's an honor to go over and teach a class there. Just
love that
because it's Don. It's SAG-AFTRA. And these are people who are really trying to put their careers forward.
And Eric, who runs it, he's our, runs the entire lab, has been there for almost from the very beginning. He's so good and so committed to the lab and always bringing in people. They're doing a lot. Folks, you should go to SAGAFTRAfoundation.org and go to the Don LaFontaine VoiceOver Lab. Click on the link. They're doing a lot of virtual stuff now that you can sign up for.
Good. Let's see. I think we're getting down. This looks like it might be a long one. Joe and Dave, either of you have any workshops coming up? And if yes, when and what are the process to take one promo workshop? Well, let's just go answer that question. I am just doing some privates now. I will probably do some workshops, but let's talk about you. I know you, is it 3-4 times a year? You do a promo workshop?
Well, I haven't been doing them. Everything has been so crazy lately. This year has been a mess. But
really, 2020, something went wrong.
You know what? Thank God there was one thing that is such a joy and saved 2020 is my brand new grandson, who was born March 20th of 2020, and he saved the year.
Yeah.
Thank God.
We need something, please.
I am doing the One Voice conference that folks can sign up for, and I'm doing a promo class for that the weekend of August 13th. We haven't announced this yet, but Jeff Howell and I and several other folks are doing a promo panel that we were supposed to do at VO at Atlanta, and we weren't able to do it. So we decided to do it for free and just do it on Zoom. And so there'll be some marketing coming out on that people can get in on that. And that's 2 weeks after that weekend of the 13th, whatever that is, around the 29th, I think, something like that.
Well, listen, we're hitting the top of the hour here. How can people get in touch with you if they'd like to take some private lessons or be on a list to find out when you're going to be doing workshops?
You could go to joecipriano.com, and from there are links to joeciprianoconsulting.com, promo workshops. uh, privates. I also do demos for the genre that I know. For promos, for radio imaging, for trailers, and that's called Fresh Demos. That's at freshdemos.net. But again, if you go to joecipriano.com, there are links to all of those different entities,
Oh yeah.
and would love to hear from.
By the way, when we were in France,
Yes.
in Normandy,
Yes.
when I had a little time from my class, I sat in on your promo class.
I loved having you there. That was so cool.
And he knows what he's talking about, y'all. You can learn something from this guy.
It was cool. I had you in there, and I think, and Melissa Disney was in there, I think, at the same time. And that was fun. Actually, we took a picture afterwards with the class and you guys, which was cool.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, listen, I'm going to let you go because I know dinner's waiting.
Thanks, Dave. Dinner's waiting.
No,
Woo-hoo!
Thank you, Joe. You've been a friend of mine for many years. You've always been just the most right there guy. You've always got a smile. You show up, you do your thing, and just a good guy. And I appreciate you, man.
Well, you're a good person, and good people attract
good people.
Good people.
Yeah, it's true. It's
so
true.
Thank you. And I love Mo. And we love getting together with you guys. That was such a special time where we could all be together when we were in France.
And eating the French food and walking the streets and having the wonderful time.
And Dave, you need to get out. I've been playing tennis every other day.
Man, I'm so rusty now.
You've got to get back.
Rusty now.
And I want to take you on in ping pong. That's another thing we did in France.
You saw me play ping pong. You don't want to take me on. You just want an easy win.
No, I
Bye, Joe. Bye. Joe Cipriano, ladies and gentlemen. And that wraps up this Ask Dave Fennoy Anything. Thank you, Joe. By the way, if you want to get in touch with me, let's see. It's right. No, other one. Right. Right there. Ask Dave Fennoy Anything. DaveFennoy.com. Back next week, Tasia Valenza Stern will be our guest. And in subsequent weeks, J.B. Blanc and Joan and Rudy after that. All the best, everybody. Thank you for stopping by. And I'll see you when I see you. Bye-bye.